Hello everyone, Soberoni of Gene Day Reviews here, and the final stretch of CCC is fast approaching. So in today's spotlight, we'll be taking a look at the last of the new event servants, the nun so lewd she makes Maeve blush, Kiara. We'll be examining her stats and skills, as well as going over pointers on how to utilize her effectively, and an overall grade comparing her to how she stacks up to the other 5-star servants. Now, onto Kiara's stats. Kiara has a max HP of 14,606 and a max attack of 11,668. That means she has both the highest HP and the lowest attack stat among all 5-star alter egos. This trend holds true when comparing her to the rest of the 5-star servants as well. Her HP is among the highest of all servants, while her attack is slightly above average. Overall, her stats are strong, especially when compared to the general 5-star population, and she has a much more defensive focus. Taking a look at her skills, her first skill is Clairvoyance Beast, rank D. It decreases enemy debuff resist for 1 turn between 50 and 100%, and it increases her own NP gauge between 30 and 50%, both depending on level. This skill can be upgraded through a strengthening quest, which will add the effect of decreasing enemy arch card resist between 20 and 30% for 1 turn depending on level, and it'll also decrease the cooldown time to 8 turns. Kiara's second skill is 5 Thought-Stopping Meditations, rank A. It decreases the NP charge of all enemies by 1 and decreases their defense for 3 turns between 10 and 30%. This can also be upgraded through a strengthening quest, which will add the effect of removing all enemy buffs and decreasing the cooldown time to 8 turns. And finally, Kiara's last skill is Goddess Morph, rank EX. It applies invincibility for 1 turn and increases her critical strength, NP gain, debuff resist, and HP recovery amount for 1 turn between 30 and 50% depending on level. As a demerit, it will also decrease her HP by 3,000. Taking a look at her passives, Kiara has Authority of the Beast, rank D, which increases her crit strength by 8%, Independent Manifestation, rank E, which increases her crit strength, def resist, and mental debuff resist by 2%, Logos Eater, rank C, which applies special defense against humanoid enemies, 16%, and Nega Savior, rank A, which applies special attack against Ruler by 150%. Moving on to her deck and Noble Phantasm, Kiara has an Arts Buster deck with Quick Arts Buster Buster and an Arts Noble Phantasm. Her Noble Phantasm, Amida Amidala Heaven's Hole, applies Ignore Invincibility for 1 turn, and deals heavy damage to all enemies that ignores defense with a damage modifier between 450 and 750% depending on level. It also restores between 2,000 and 6,000 HP to Kiara depending on overcharge. Taking a closer look at her cards, we see that her Quick card hits 3 times, her Arts card hits 3 times, her Buster card hits once, and her Extra attack hits 5 times. She has an NP gain rate of 0.55% and a star rate of 10%. She has decent NP gain from her arts and high hit count extra. It's made even better by her skills, but she does have poor star generating due to just having 1 quick card. To tell you the truth, I honestly don't even know where to begin with Kiara. Much like Emiya, Kiara is a tale of 2 servants, pre-buff and post-buff. Her stats are actually very strong. She sports really high HP and respectable attack for a 5-star. She also packs an extremely unique and powerful passive in Nega Savior, which effectively gives her class advantage over ruler enemies on top of her class advantage over cavalry. So she kinda doubles as an Avenger in that sense. Her skills are highly tilted toward a stall and control playstyle. Clairvoyance smacks enemies with a powerful 100% debuff resist down, ensuring that any stuns or charms will land. And it also gives her a ridiculous 50% NP charge steroid. This allows her to Noble Phantasm instantly, even with craft essences like Halloween Princess or Golden Sumo equipped. Combined with her class advantage over so many servants, this makes Kiara a very potent farmer. Post-strengthening quest, this skill also decreases enemy arch resist by a significant amount, making it perfect for setting up NP Brave Chains. Kiara's second skill, 5 Thought-Stopping Meditations, decreases the NP charge of all enemies by 1 and lowers their defense. NP drain is key to control and further exemplifies why she is so suited for stall teams. The defense down is also great to have since it is AoE and it synergizes perfectly with her arch resist down debuff on her first skill, potentially setting up 60% extra damage with any Arts Noble Phantasm. This skill also gets buffed by Strengthening Quest and gains the effect of removing all buffs from every enemy. AoE buff removal is pretty OP in many late game situations and in challenge quests, and only one other servant in the game has an AoE buff removal. Finally, Kiara has a strong survival tool in Goddess Morph. This skill is very similar to Tamamo Lancers. It grants invincibility as well as a massive buff to NP gain, crit strength, debuff resist, and HP recovery. But instead of stunning you, it drains 3000 HP, which is almost always worth the trade-off of surviving, especially since Kiara's Noble Phantasm heals back for 3000 HP when activated alongside this skill. The NP gain buff this gives is also significant, and when used properly can even set Kiara up for back-to-back Noble Phantasms in rare scenarios if used alongside her first skill. Skill order for Kiara should be Clairvoyance first for that massive NP charge, followed by 5 Thought Meditation for the good utility, and then finally Goddess Morph. The skill leveling order remains the same even after her strengthening quest. Kiara's NP is an AoE arts attack that also heals her for a not so insignificant amount. The key to Kiara's Noble Phantasm is its synergy with her skill set. For one thing, the heal perfectly counteracts the demerit on her third skill, and it does a great job of giving her sustain for long stall battles, which if you can't tell is what Kiara is kinda made for. The AoE nature of her Noble Phantasm also means it works very well with her AoE defense down skill and her arts card resist debuff. The NP being able to ignore defense and invincibility is just further icing on the cake for a challenge quest because it means that there is no way for enemies to avoid damage from Kiara, even if they spam Imperial Privilege or evade. As you can see, Kiara has two things that she specializes in: farming and stalling. Because she has class advantage against so many servant types, and she has a huge NP charge skill, she can effectively farm most stages and events. However, where she truly shines is in art stall teams. Her whole kit is designed to be disruptive to enemies while sustaining herself. Her heal, her passive 16% defensive buff against enemy servants, her high HP, and her invincibility make her incredibly tanky, while her bevy of debuffs allow her to delay and weaken enemies very easily. And later on, when facing multiple big enemies becomes more common, her AoE buff removal is invaluable. But while she does pack nearly unrivaled utility, she has severe weaknesses as well. First of all, her damage is pitiful. She has no NP interlude and no real attack buffs, so she does hit like the wettest of noodles. But far worse than that is her ridiculous cooldowns and weaker skills pre-strengthening quest. Before her buffs, her skill cooldowns are 7 turns at max rank, making them difficult to rely on and essentially pointless since they can't be used to stall effectively with such long timers. She also lacks her crucial arch resist debuff and buff removal aspects to her kit, making her pre-strengthening quest version significantly weaker. And while she is light years better post-strengthening quest, she does still have issues with damage, more manageable but somewhat still long cooldowns, and she doesn't have quite the hard carry potential of the other top tier support or stall servants. As far as teams go, Kiara primarily works in arts teams. Of course, in any kind of stall team is where she's going to work best, but she also works well for supporting strong offensive servants because she has so many debuffs. And for more everyday content, she does work extremely well for farming. When using her in stall teams, I do suggest pairing her with Tamamo, Archer Arturia, or Kuro. Tamamo is the ideal partner in crime for Kiara because she can lower Kiara's insane cooldowns, while both Arturia and Kuro can benefit greatly from Kiara's art defense down debuff, which enables them to gain more NP charge back while also dealing more damage. If you are just taking Kiara out for farming, then servants with an arts buff like Helena or Caster Gil are great teammates. Helena also packs a team-wide NP charge, potentially enabling Kiara to Noble Phantasm twice within a few turns, while Gil just gives her tons of damage buffs, which is useful against more durable enemies. Kiara's Bondcraft Essence is a Dream by the Cradle. It grants her a 20% buff to Arts card effectiveness and an extra 3000 HP, but at the cost of decreasing all ally HP by 1000. This craft essence isn't really that effective. Slashing 1000 HP off your allies is not worth a 20% arts buff and a small bump to health. Kiara has enough HP as it is. Instead, use craft essences that can bolster your arts card effectiveness, like Formal Craft, Collide Sapphire, Faithful Companions, or Chocolatier. The first three are all useful for damage dealing and NP gain, while Chocolatier is better used when supporting a servant like Archuria, Kura, or Saberlot. If you're farming, I recommend Halloween Princess, Golden Sumo, or Kaleidoscope. Kaleidoscope works well until you max out your NP charge skill. Afterwards, you should be using Halloween Princess or Golden Sumo exclusively. For future proofing, I love Dive into Blue for farming and Painting Summer for stall teams. Overall, Kiara is a complex servant. She has one of the best utility-based skill sets in the game and offers really rare and really powerful support tools like AoE buff removal and arch resist down. She can be a staple in a strong arts team just due to the sheer variety of support that she offers. She's incredibly tanky, and she has a niche as an anti-ruler servant if you lack an Avenger. And her farming potential is high because of her NP charge skill and class advantage against so many servant types. But she does suffer from extremely underwhelming damage. Her utility is hard to fully utilize outside of challenge quests and late game boss fights, and prior to her multiple strengthening quests, her long cooldowns and lack of two signature abilities, that being buff removal and arch card resist down, severely handicap her, and even post-strengthening quests, her cooldowns are still on the longer side of things. So overall, she gets 2 grades. At release, before her buffs, she gets a C, and post-strengthening quests, she moves up to a B+. Kiara is in a sad state at release. Her skill set is too simplistic, and her cooldowns are too long for her to really do much outside of farming with her NP steroid. Whereas after her strengthening quests, her unique additional skills give her immense flexibility in challenge quests and as a support for offensive art servants, and her cooldowns, while still long, are more manageable and can easily be the backbone of any arts team you create. And those are my thoughts on Kiara. In my opinion, she is just shy of top tier because her skills aren't as immediately useful outside of challenging content, as you can tell by my lack of exciting footage for this video, and she does need a well-structured team to function. She isn't a carry the way that John, Tamamo, Nero Bride, or Waver are. But whether you disagree or agree, let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to check out the other CCC spotlights if you haven't already, all linked in the description. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up and consider subscribing if you really enjoyed this video. Join the party over at our Discord, chill with us on Twitch, and follow us on Twitter. And I'll see you all in the next Servant Spotlight. Soberoni out. Later.